All right. Big question to start us off. So, throughout your entire experience of us doing van life together, how it was done, would you do anything differently? And if so, why?
I
Big
mean,
banger.
yes and no. Like the way that it was pretty good and it was pretty fun. I mean, ideally, it would have been better to have more money and maybe have something else lined up because we went there, with nothing lined up. We just went. There was no plan. So I don't know. I'm gonna say no. Probably not. What about you? Would you have done anything different?
I agree with the money answer. Like, I would have loved to have something more freelance. However, dog sitting really did the job. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty great.
That was towards the end.
That was
though.
towards the end, and I was doing like online MLM stuff, but I wasn't super, devoted to that. Honestly, COVID, it was like all through during COVID, so going not during that would have been nice.
True.
But I
Yeah.
wouldn't really change anything. I mean, a different van, like upgrading from a minivan to like one you can actually stand up in.
Mm-hmm.
That would be ideal for a woman, but
Yeah.
man too.
Yes.
But-
No, for sure. Great question to start, by the
Thank
way.
you.
So my question is, so small town, basically kind of what you said, but a little bit different. So small town life to living in a minivan in Cali. What made you want to go with me and give this crazy idea a try or a shot?
That is a great question. Honestly, you are very brave and very spontaneous and just like fun. So
I don't consider myself to be that, but
well, yeah, I mean, I would say more so than me as far as like level wise, I guess. But I've always loved to travel, and like I grew up here, my mom always talking about like bus life. I want to do bus life, like live in the bus and travel around. And I was just like, yeah, right. Like that's not doable. And then I met you, and you were talking about how much you were so like you just wanted to move to California, but you also just like made it seem so doable to live in a van. You were like, I don't know if you felt as confident as you gave off to me, if that makes sense. Like you just seemed to have like a lot of great ideas, and you made it seem very doable, which made me feel not stressed about it at all.
yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was very adventurous. So it was fun to travel, but also like be adventurous about it. And I felt safe with you. I already felt safe with you before we left. So that also added to less stress, I guess.
Yeah. I made it seem doable, and it was doable, but
Yeah.
it was definitely pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of like leads into my question for you, I guess. Like with being in van life together, would you say there are any like pros or cons to living and doing van life with another person? Or like I guess what would be the pros and cons for like with person versus just like by yourself?
Yeah.
That's kind of a deep question, I guess, but
There's definitely both, as you know. I think the pros is having someone else there with you, so you're not doing it alone. You're both kind of going through it together and trying to figure it out, as well as just having like a friend there.
yeah.
But yeah, it definitely makes it hard with two people in such a small space. I mean, we're talking about like a mom minivan, like with
It was like a miniature minivan.
with like a wooden platform with a bed on top and then some storage underneath. Like
A lot of compromising.
yeah, like your front seats are your kind of kitchen cooking area, and then the back is like your bed living room, and then the outside is the rest of whatever else you would have in your house,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
What about you? What would you say to someone, or what if
Yeah.
someone asked you that, what would your pros and cons be?
I think definitely more fun, as I was talking about with like the adventurous and stuff. Like it's so much more fun. Probably I've never done it by myself. Well, actually, I guess if you think about it, on our trip, I did stay by myself for like a week
Mm-hmm.
every now and then, depending on if you had to go do a shoot or you were going to travel.
Well, we also remember went to New York in, what was that, 2019,
Mm.
and stayed for like 3 or 4 days. We went for New Year's and we stayed in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
So you
true.
kind of already, well, and before that, actually, we went to Charleston
Yeah, that was my first time ever staying in the van.
and stayed in the van in Charleston. So you already had some prior experience with staying in the van.
Yeah, but like as far as staying alone versus like with somebody, I would prefer to be with somebody just because it's more fun. I never really felt unsafe, but it was like more so like a security. Like it felt just like a security.
You think it was just because of the car? Like, you think if you had like a stand-up Mercedes, like it would have felt a little more doable or comfortable?
It would have felt more secure. It would have felt a lot easier probably to do because in our minivan, the way that it was set up was you could literally see everything out of the
From the inside?
windows. Yeah, from the inside.
But
No one could see in though
Yep.
because of the tent. It was just like so strong. So yeah, I think in a different van it maybe would have been more doable, but you know, it's all about personal preference too. If you do it solo, there's so much growth. There's growth either way. We had a lot of growth in our relationship and as individuals, at least speaking for myself,
Mhm.
like, you know, so just pros and cons. I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pros, being able to go and stay in it and have fun, and cons kind of, at least in the minivan, being like, feel like you're being watched all the time and just a little unsafe just by
Yeah.
yourself.
A little uneasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good question. Or was that my question?
That was your question. I just asked it back to you.
Good question, Grace. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. So not only moving to a new place, totally like across the country, but also, you know, my whole thing was just have no plan. Like, let's just go. We'll figure it out as we go. Probably not the best idea, but I don't really regret it because that's kind of why I wanted to go, was to just put myself out there, make new connections, and grow myself. But yeah, having no plan and not really sure how we're going to make money. We only knew, I think, 3 people there at the time, Brittany, Markel, and Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So we at least know some people there, but not nearly as many as we know here. But not knowing how we're going to make money. How was it for you trying to make connections and find work?
Ooh, that's a good one. It was difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard for me. I was dealing with a lot of like social anxiety, I would say. This is like a totally another story, so could do another YouTube video on this, but I had a skateboarding accident and a brain injury, and following that brain injury, I have definitely struggled with social anxiety, as you know. So kind of putting myself out there was a little bit like nerve-wracking for me, honestly. And I would say too, just like if I would have just more so not care, it's a little hard to do this, but not care what other people think. Just let it go and just do things, you know, just try something new. That's like one of the biggest things to do with van life is like putting yourself out there and trying something. You know, like for me, I didn't have just like one passion as far as like photography. You have multiple passions, but your career, photography, you know, you're like, this is what I'm going there for. And other than that, you didn't really have a plan on exactly how you were going to use the photography.
Right.
But like, I was just like, I guess I could try babysitting, but then that was difficult with COVID. And then,
Yeah, the whole like 2020 year, was it 2020 or
yeah, it was February 2020.
No, it was 2021 because you fell in 2020.
That's right. February 2021.
So it was
left.
Yeah, in 2021, the whole COVID stuff was going on, and definitely out there it was very crazy. Like
it was
you
a lot
said,
different comparatively to like South Carolina.
Yeah.
Totally different. I
Like-
remember when we came back from our trip, literally no one wore masks here in South Carolina. And I was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to get in trouble. We're not going to be able to go into the grocery store.
Well, even when we left too, I mean, it was still going on, and it was just a lot more loose here than it was there. I mean, in the beginning, I feel like it was decent, but as the weeks and months went on, it definitely got tighter and tighter with the masks. And then everyone was like, "Are you vaccinated? You know, do you have your shots?" And we're not. We didn't do that, and
Yeah.
a lot of people out there definitely, you know, are kind of against that. So it makes it
Right.
hard to go into places or trying to get work because
And that's another thing. That's a whole nother video in itself, conversation in itself. But just like the whole COVID thing, it's like there wasn't ever really like asking like why you didn't or did. You know what I mean? It was more so just like everybody's like looking at you,
Yeah,
which
you were
totally
just-
added to the social anxiety for me.
just immediately shunned.
Yeah. I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I think people think we're homeless. All right, we're just gonna roll with this. I'm homeless. Not really, but yeah. It was difficult to answer your question. It
But
was.
yeah, so you did some babysitting and then some dog sitting.
Yeah, babysitting, dog sitting, and yeah.
You were doing some copywriting.
I did start copywriting actually, freelance copywriting while I was there. I forgot about that. And that I still do some of that now actually with the same company. So I did like find new avenues that I wasn't.
And you were doing Arbonne stuff at the time.
Yeah, Arbonne, which was great and did help me with meeting new people, you know, and doing. I went to that one workout with I forget what the trainer.
Like a Navy SEAL ex-trainer or something like
Oh
that.
my gosh, that was such a hard workout. But I was like, I'm gonna go meet new people, see if anybody wants some fizz sticks or like protein or whatever. But
You did it.
it did help me. So yeah. What about you? How did you feel about like, you know, socializing and like getting finding your place out there with photography and everything?
It was definitely, I think, harder than I thought. And not that it's an excuse, but like you said, like the COVID thing. And, you know, with doing photography, everything is digital. So needing a place to charge stuff and have a connection to send stuff off and to even be online in general to, you know, get work and respond to work, that definitely made it difficult. And thankfully, we found that coffee shop, 10 Speed, and they had chargers because most places out there don't have outlets,
Right.
which I guess is great because, you know, it keeps people moving in and out versus sitting in the space for, you know, all day. But thankfully, this place had outlets, so we were able to charge our phones, computers, get some work done there. There was coffee there.
Yeah, good coffee. 10 Speed was great. They had the best breakfast burritos.
Oh yeah, and then we ended up becoming, you know, decent friends with the baristas that were working there, and then they would give us some free burritos.
Yeah, every now and then they were like, "You guys want this?"
Yeah,
that was such a blessing when that happened.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I was doing everything that I could think to do. I mean, I started making like Instagram reels, TikToks. I was posting, you know, like a listing or ad, whatever, on Craigslist, on Facebook, on Instagram, asking if any of my followers knew anyone or whatnot to try and get some work. And eventually, it wasn't much, but I ended up doing taking photos of airplane banners.
Right, which is kind of cool because we could have beach days
Yeah,
during that.
yeah. It wasn't a lot of money, and it was a long amount of time for not a lot of.
Right.
Yeah, can't speak.
Words are hard.
Yeah, for not a lot of money, but that was great because it was money, and we got, like you said, we got to hang out at the beach.
Do you remember actually, speaking of like the socializing and putting yourself out there and 10 Speed, one of your like really.
I'm getting there.
Oh, too soon. I was going to say a good connection for you came out of socializing.
I think I have a question that'll kind of link it all together.
Cool. We'll wait for that one.
But yeah.
Nice.
Or I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
All in good time. We can't get too quick to the finale. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so the airplane stuff, and then I had a guy reach out to me, a real estate agent, and he had all these different areas over like Los Angeles, kind of downtown area, and we ended up driving around and shooting drone photos and video of all these places. So that was some work right there.
Yeah.
And then I was doing the pool photography, like the Airbnb pool
I
stuff.
forgot about that. Yeah, that's such a good idea.
Yeah, those were good. But also very all over the place and not a ton of money, but
Mm-hmm.
still money. And then, with knowing Nick there, that was when we
Nick.
first kind of got there. They were doing a movie, like a small production film, and ended up getting to take behind the scenes photos and then the cover photo for the movie. And
Right.
then you were a PA,
I
I
was a
think.
PA for the first time. It
Yeah.
was a blast for sure.
Yeah, it was
It was a little bit more on the like, I don't know if horror is the right word to describe the film, so I had to step out a couple times because I was just like, that's too much blood. But it was a good time. I was thankful to be included.
true. And then what else? And
You're
then
remembering more than me, honestly, with that.
yeah, and then 10 speed, I guess going back to that, I just kind of wanted to say all the other
Oh,
stuff that I was
totally.
we were
The
kind of
right
doing.
order is important.
That's okay. But yeah, we ended up one day getting ready to leave, and I see this guy with dreadlocks down past his butt. And I'm like, that dude looks dope. And I'm like, I'm gonna ask him if he wants to take some photos sometime. Like I had no intention behind it, wasn't trying to get work. I was just like, man, this guy has a great look. And we talked, we exchanged information, and we linked up and started working on some stuff together. And it was funny because, like I said, I mean, it doesn't matter, but I'm thinking, this guy's in his, late 40s, mid 40s, older dad, probably. Maybe he has an Instagram, maybe he doesn't. And I think he had like at the time 30 or 40,000 followers, and he has two accounts, Eric Cedeno and Bicycle Nomad. And the bicycle thing is cool because, me riding bikes. So
Totally.
that was a great connection for us to talk on. And we ended up doing a lot of stuff together. And I'll get to the other stuff
Yeah.
with him later. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it ended up working out, honestly. We didn't really have any extra money to spend to do anything fun.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
We saved up a little, but it wasn't like as far as like how expensive things are there to go out and do stuff, like even just like meals and stuff. So
our fun was either going on Friday and getting a pizza and then going to the grocery store and getting the buzz balls, which we called Better Buzz Balls.
better buzz balls.
And,
oh, man, if you know, you know.
Either that or going to In-N-Out and getting a double with some fries.
True joy for that.
Mm-hmm. That was kind of like our fun time, our splurging with our funds. I mean, and there was times that we had no money, and thankfully we had just went grocery shopping.
Yep.
And so we had some food. I mean, speaking of food, how was that? Van life food?
Yeah.
Because we didn't have, well, we had the grill that your mom gave us,
Right.
but it was taking up too much space.
Yeah, I wasn't good for the yeah.
And too much setup, and just, I mean, we're staying in Santa Monica pretty much the entire time. So most van life stuff, they travel around and go
Yeah.
places, but we were just kind of in one area, kind of jumping from a couple different streets back and forth every night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not having a way to cook food, you definitely realize how quick
Yeah.
you miss something hot.
Oh my goodness. I could not wait. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I didn't want to I wasn't speeding up the process or anything like that, but I was so excited because I knew we were going to be home around Christmas, Thanksgiving time. And I was so excited for one of your mom's hot meals. I was just like, oh, I hope there's chili or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we had a lot of the same thing over and over
What
again.
was that same thing?
So, okay, let me see. It was the wrap. But the wrap was what was it, like a spinach gluten-free
Mm-hmm.
wrap with deli meat? We started off bougie with cheese
Yep.
and lettuce and always sriracha.
Mm-hmm.
Then as money got tighter, we cut the cheese.
Yep.
So it was just literally sometimes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We would have that gluten-free
The
spinach
same
wrap.
thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, at least when you were doing the Arbonne stuff too,
Oh, true.
we had the protein, and we would just kind of scoop that into water and stir it up with a straw or a spoon.
Yeah, I had one of those like
Oh yeah, you
batterized
did
frother
end up
things.
getting one of those. Or did you
Yeah,
have it before we left?
I didn't have it before we left. I don't think
Yeah.
I can remember.
Either
That
way.
was nice. And every now and then we would have like banana and peanut butter for breakfast too. But
Mm-hmm.
also getting real vulnerable here. What was something else we ate, but we couldn't cook it in like a microwave or anything, because we had
Canned food.
canned food. So
Yeah.
like this might gross some people out, but it's already cooked. We straight up would open a can of soup or vegetables or whatever and just eat
Scoop it
spoon.
right out of the can.
Yep.
Yep.
Eat a spoon. Eat with a spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was delicious. I actually looked forward to those. So,
Yeah. And sometimes we would get some little breakfast bars or something.
oh, that's right, Cliff Bars, and also like for real water. Like I know it's different for every person that's doing van life. So for us, we had the minivan. We didn't have like the greatest water hookup setup. You know what I mean?
We didn't have any water hookup set up.
Well, we
We
had
had jugs
this-
of water.
jugs. Yeah. So we would just do that. And so that was another thing, like just being home, like being able to just like it's not for free. You have to pay for it, but like it feels free kind of
Just-
my mental,
Getting water out of the fridge.
literally just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Speaking of water, what did we do for cleanliness and bathroom usage?
we were super clean all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we didn't have, a bathroom in our minivan. No shower, no toilet, not even like one of those, what are those called? Not disposable, but you know what I mean? Like those kind of toilets that everybody in van life has.
Like a composting toilet.
Composting, yeah. So we would try and park by public bathrooms.
Mhm.
Majority of the time, they would close at like 8 and open at 6,
Mm-hmm.
which is very difficult for any person, especially women,
Yep.
depending.
So there was some bathroom training involved to
Bathroom training.
have your body be like, okay, after 8, I don't need to go to the bathroom. And then at 6 or 7, which is early every day, but with sleeping in a van near, or on a street, I mean, there's people walking by, there's cars going by, people starting to mow the grass. So you're going to get woken up. So it was kind of
Yeah.
perfect anyway.
Yeah. And like for showers, we would go to the beach and take
Mhm.
showers at those showers that like the surfers use when they're finished and stuff like that.
Yep. It was,
It was embarrassing
yeah, if you,
at times.
if anyone ever has any cares what people think about them, taking a shower on the beach in front of people constantly walking by. I mean, in Santa Monica, thankfully,
Well, and to clarify, we had bathing suits
well,
on,
yeah,
like swim trunks. It wasn't just
Yeah.
like walk out, you know what I mean?
yeah, but still, I mean, you're in a bathing suit and then you just start dumping soap on your head and on your body, and it's like all over the ground, and people are just walking by and trying to use the showers coming from the beach.
And thankfully too, like it wasn't like a lot of people, but I do think there were some people that did that as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of homeless. Not I think there is a lot of homeless people there. So
Right.
I think everybody there is just kind of used to people doing it anyway.
Yeah. So people look, but yeah, you have to be okay with not caring what people think, which is especially then for me, was very, very difficult. I had not really been tested in that area. So a lot of growth happened while I was there. Still not perfect, but
And normally, at least now and before COVID stuff, I don't think it would have been nearly that bad because we were planning on doing like a gym membership and then, working out, and then they have
yeah.
showers in the gym.
Right.
So that would have eliminated that whole awkwardness situation. But because of COVID, I think they were closed down or like very limited to people that were coming in.
We did also, thankfully, to friends
Mm-hmm.
get to shower.
Brittany and Markel.
Brittany and Markel, and as you mentioned earlier, Eric.
Oh yeah,
And his family.
He ended up offering his shower for us to use, which was
So grateful for that. For all
incredible.
of them.
And yeah, I always never tried to like overdo it. Like it's kind of whatever, but I mean sometimes it was a shower twice a week, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Just
What's
kind
the
of-
longest you went? I want to know. I can't remember.
Dude, I think it was like 8 or 9 days, which is it's embarrassing, but it was when we were traveling, going to Cali, and we had left Texas, and I forget what the places were we stopped at, but There was no showers along the way. And then when we got to Cali, thankfully Daniel Ross was there,
That's right.
and he was like, "Hey, I'm in town for a couple days. Got a room with an extra bed. You guys come shower, like, you know,
That was
hang out
so
with us."
nice.